Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Your support really does make a huge difference. You'll find a link for contributions on the website at appamada.org/contribute. Thank you so much.
Welcome, everyone. It's so good to see you today. You might be able to tell it's a beautiful day here in Fort Lee, New Jersey, where I am, and it looks beautiful there in Austin as well. I hope that everyone is enjoying their day so far. So, on the topic of weather, our emotions can be that way too: hot, cold, in between, on the surface, or hidden, like lava in a volcano sometimes. And of course, understanding emotion and helping others to understand them is my job as a therapist. And a big part of learning that job has been my own therapy. And then through my practice here, my relationship with Flint, learning about IFS and Hakomi, and other dimensions of emotional intelligence have really deepened my practice. So then in July 2022, as I mentioned in my email to you, Lori led an intensive based on Loch Kelly's book, Shift into Freedom. And I think the subtitle is The Science and Art of Emotion, not sure, we'll get to that. And I have put the link to that book in the chat. So that you have that. So she introduced us, Lori introduced us at that time, two plus years ago, to a method of what Loch Kelly calls unhooking awareness from thought, which is where we typically are, and guiding it down through the body and out beyond our small selves to what he calls awake awareness and oneness with everyone and everything. So why am I sharing this with you today? So quite simply, it's been a pretty much a game changer for me in my practice and in my life, learning about this and practicing it. So through many practice discussions with Lori after the intensive, I began to work with child parts with this method. And I would meet with Lori and say something like, well, I think what's going on is this. Let's try shifting. And I would close my eyes and visualize kind of what was happening, and I would narrate it to her. And the result was always liberating, relieving, and integrating, and gave me a sense of kind of complete acceptance, at least for that moment. So I started practicing shifting on my own and then bought the Audible version of Shifting into Freedom, which I highly recommend because Loch Kelly is actually narrating the book himself. And to me, it made a big difference. And I continued to deepen this practice by listening and working on shifting with the book. So today we'll only be able to have a taste of this and the material, but I think it will be well worth it. So in one of my teas with, as head student with Lynn, she offered me a statement from Flint through one of his talks where he talked about vulnerability. And of course, vulnerability has such a big place in helping us access what we're feeling. And this is what Flint said. This week, I was reflecting on how we consistently misunderstand vulnerability and miss its promise. When we see it as weakness or brokenness, our energies move toward management, reactivity, or even shame. However, vulnerability actually points to the very heart of interdependence and impermanence. The experience of vulnerability in a human body is the reality of dukkha. So vulnerability is another way of speaking about the Buddha's 3 marks of existence. We are vulnerable because we arise together with all beings. We shape each other and are shaped through our relationships with everything. And when we can drop our clinging to the illusion of a stable individual self, we find we no longer have anything at stake, nothing to defend. We have the opportunity to enter the flow of existence with nothing to gain and nothing to lose. So I thought that could be helpful in sort of giving us a connection about emotion and vulnerability. So today we're going to listen to Loch Kelly himself introduce his method that he devised, which, by the way, is made up of what he calls glimpse practices. So they're not exactly guided meditations, but guided practices that average 4 to 6 minutes, very short. And the book is made up of about 20 of these, and emotional freedom is one of them. So he's going to guide us through that after we hear his introduction. But I want to take a sidestep, which I wasn't going to do, but I think it could be helpful to us today, because shifting is all about experiencing something and taking our awareness from here down to our heart space. So since I'm a little nervous today, that's a little bit what's going on here. I thought we could do a practice together, and I would guide you through. I'll work with mine and you can work with where you are. So I'm going to ask everybody to, this is very short, just put your hand on your heart, take some breaths, and just close your eyes. Close your eyes and breathe. And I don't know how many of you have heard Trudy Johnston's inquiry talks or any talks, but she often says, what's here? What's here? Just take a minute, keep your eyes closed, and just breathe and stay with you and with us. And what's here? What's here? Gently open your eyes, and we're going to move our hands into this position here. If you could do that, please. Okay, and now close your eyes again. Well, actually keep them open for a second, because I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our arms. So as I'm going to guide you a bit, and as I do, you're going to very slowly open your arms. So could everybody just do that with me? Just open your arms very slowly to the side. Nice. And you can go as wide as you want when we actually do that, and just come back into the center. Okay, so close your eyes again, and keeping your awareness on whatever came up for you. You said to yourself, what's here? So just keep your awareness with what's here. Okay. Now let's gradually keeping the awareness down into the heart space. Let's just breathe, take care of the breathing, and let's just widen the container there with our arms. Just breathe with wherever that is that you are. Stay with that place where you are today. Down there in your being, in your heart. And let's just widen those arms out to receive what's there. With me and with my little nervousness. I'm giving it a lot of love and attention as I broaden and open out to be with it in a bigger space. Keep your breathing going, very gentle and open. And it's just wider and wider and wider. And welcome to this place that we are right in this moment. Big, huge welcome. As wide as you can go. And now let's gently bring it in. Always with it. Be with it. Be with it. And bring our arms back in. Gradually. Just keep being with it, breathing, taking care of that breathing with it. And let's put our arms down. Then let's open our eyes. Okay, thank you. I think we won't share right now. We're going to listen to Loch Kelly and see where we take it from here. Shifting into freedom with Loch Kelly. So I'm going to share my screen only for the audio. In other words, there won't be anything to look at. I'm going to turn the audio off. But I will ask you to keep your eyes closed and to be in that very relaxed state, and just let what he has to be. Try to have a very open space for what you're hearing. Just let it kind of flow over you.
I'd like to begin with a story. We all like bedtime stories, and perhaps this could be considered a wake-up story. Once upon a time, there was a fish who had heard tales of the source of life, which would bring whoever found it their heart's desire. The fish swam to every corner of the ocean, asking, "Where is the source of life? How can I find it?" She kept getting pointed toward different tasks to more remote parts of the sea. After many years of seeking, the fish arrived back at the place where she first started. Entering her home waters, she encountered an older fish who asked her, "What's going on with you, my friend? Why do you look so worried and dejected?" "I've spent years looking for the source of life," the fish explained. "I can't even begin to tell you how many things I've tried or the number of places I've searched, all in vain." "I don't suppose you know where to find it?" The old fish smiled and said, "I've heard many names for the source of life in my day, but the simplest is water." Just like the fish, we have been searching for this amazing source of life. Although this essential foundation is beyond our ability to accurately describe in words, we have given it many names: truth, peace, love, true nature, enlightenment, unity, or spirit. But the simplest name is awareness. Like the fish, we have looked high and low, inside and out, for this freedom. But what if that which we seek is closer than our own breath? What if the source of life already surrounds and permeates us? When our basic awareness is revealed to be the foundation of both how we know and who we are, we can call it awake awareness. Discovering awake awareness is the key to the transformation of consciousness called awakening, that leads to our ability to live from freedom, well-being, and a loving connection. In one ancient tradition from India, they talk about having 4 natural states, and one of these 4 states is the ground of our being. The first 3 states we all know very well. Sleep, dream or daydream is the second. The third is everyday mind, the mind that we live from, that we look and take to be our reality. The 4th state is one we may not know as well. It's called Turiya, and I'm going to translate it as awake awareness. In Tibetan, it's often called Rigpa. When Turiya, when awake awareness, is the ground of our being, it's called Turyatita. And what we'll do in this audio is learn how to directly experience this natural state of awake awareness. In order to do that, we don't need to meditate or create a state of mind that's calm and focused. Instead, we're going to learn to shift into the freedom of awake awareness. Because awake awareness is here already, equally available in each of us, as each of us, what we'll learn to do is glimpse it. A glimpse is different than a state of mind, than a meditation state, than an altered state, than a peak state. A glimpse is a shift out of our everyday mind, out of our thought-based way of knowing, and into an awake awareness-based way of knowing. Once we shift into awake awareness, we'll experience it as our ground of being. It will relieve us immediately of the creation of the small, separate sense of self, which is made of thought looping upon thought. Once this sense of self relaxes, what's revealed is an entire new way of being, one that's been here all along. Because awake awareness is our natural condition, we don't have to create it, achieve it, or develop it. We'll learn how to shift into it directly, and then train to remain. From here, we'll be able to live from an awakened awareness, from our ground of being. So this approach is a little bit different. Instead of trying to create states of loving kindness, of peace and calm and focus, instead of trying to be more accepting, if we just shift out of our current level of mind and into awake awareness is found to be already calm, peaceful, loving and accepting, non-judgmental, and interconnected with all. One of the main reasons we do not recognize awake awareness and we do not awaken is because we have not figured out where to look or what to look with. One reason we can't find it, see it, or understand it is because awake awareness is not an it. Awake awareness is not an object or a thing that can be seen, heard, touched, smelled, or tasted. It isn't a thought, an emotion, an image, a belief, a sensation, or even energy. In the Zen tradition, there's a saying, to seek mind with a discriminating mind is the greatest of all mistakes. Neither the five senses, the thinking mind, our ego, our will, our imagination, not even attention, can know awake awareness. Just as the eye cannot see sounds, thinking and attention cannot know awake awareness. The one who's listening to these words and trying to experience awake awareness cannot do it either. It is only when you can let go of the way of knowing that you use so successfully in other areas of life and begin to discover that only awake awareness can know awake awareness, that you will be able to shift into your ground of being and live from here. In this audio program, we will mainly be doing guided practices. These are helpful because you can relax your mind and be guided at first into these states. And then you can recognize for yourself. But the primary interest of this program is to have you listen and learn to do this by yourself so that you can do it in the midst of your life. And though the practices may be new at first, they are simple and made of only a few steps. Once you get the experience directly through the guided practices, you'll be able to find a way to remember them and do them for yourself. These guided practices are not just meant to achieve a calm state. As an induction, they're meant as instruction. And the goal is to shift you into an awakened state so you can practice and return by using small glimpses many times. As you do, you will develop new habits and train your brain to remain. Awakening is possible for you. It may sound like a big esoteric thing, especially when you're having a bad day. We're all imperfect. That's not going to change. But neither is the fact that we can realize who we are is already unconditional love itself. Today, there's a potential for a new stage of human development that combines awakening and growing up. It is clear that you can only grow up to a certain level unless you also awaken. It's important to continue to mature psychologically while awakening. No matter how advanced we get spiritually, the goal is not to transcend being human. In order to awaken, you don't have to leave your life, go to a cave, become an Olympic-level meditator, or take on any set of religious beliefs. Regardless of your belief system, your spiritual affiliation, or non-affiliation, you can begin to awaken in the midst of your daily life. You don't even need to wait until you've gotten your life together. In fact, if you're looking from your ego-identified mind, you'll never feel good enough or ready. Most adults are ready. Chances are, if you're listening to this audio, you're ready. If you've had practice concentrating, completing tasks in school and at work, and forming relationships, you have grown up enough to wake up. You can wake up and begin a process and learn how to live from open-hearted awareness. Awakening is about release.
So that was a lot, but I think that at this point, we're going to move into one of the exercises with Loch Kelly guiding us, and the topic today is emotional freedom. So we're going to now do this with Loch Kelly. Again, I do suggest that you close your eyes as you're listening to him. And then once we do this exercise, this experience, we'll have some time to share. So we'll share my screen again.
This next glimpse practice is called emotional freedom. Before you start this exercise, you're invited to bring your awareness within your body and find any emotion that is here now. You can do this exercise with any emotion, pleasant or unpleasant, but for the first time, choose an unpleasant emotion. If you don't have an unpleasant emotion available right now, or an unpleasant emotion that you deal with most often, you can go to a memory or a recent situation in your life and just bring up an unpleasant emotion so that we can work with it now. Find the feeling of this emotion within your body. So let's begin. So feel this emotion, any emotion, fear, anger, jealousy, and begin by feeling it fully. I'll use the example of sadness, and you can substitute your own emotion as you choose. Silently now, while you're feeling this emotion, say to yourself and feel what this means. I am sad. Fully experience what it's like to say and feel, I am sad. Stay with this experience until you feel it completely for just a short while. Now, we're going to shift. And instead of saying, I am sad, take a breath, feeling this emotion, and say, I feel sadness. Notice the shift from I am sad to I feel sadness. Experience the shift and the new feeling of being. From here, let's move to the next one. We're moving from I feel sadness to now saying to yourself, I am aware of feeling sadness. Experience awareness of feeling sadness fully. Shift into an observing awareness and notice the different emotional quality that comes with this shift. Now for the next shift. Say to yourself and feel what happens. Sadness is welcome. Say to yourself and feel it. Sadness is welcome. Starting from awareness, experience what welcoming, whatever feeling is here. Feel awareness embody and embrace fully. Notice the different emotional quality that comes from welcoming. Sense the ground of being and the full humanness of your experience. And finally, one more shift. Say and feel awareness and sadness are not separate. Awareness and the motion are not other. Awareness and emotion are one. Feel the unity, the permeating, pervasive quality of awareness within and around, permeating without identifying with the emotion and without rejecting it. Feel this open-hearted awareness, this non-dual presence, emotion and awareness. Feel the energetic aliveness and the deep stillness and movement at the same time. Breathe in, fully feel awareness embodied, and now notice the feeling of looking out at the world from this embodied, connected, and protected, open-hearted awareness. Enjoy this human life.
So I'd like to just open it up to see what your experience was as you listened and experienced this shifting. So please feel free to raise your hand or let me know what your experience was. I see Jessica, John, Eric, and a third person. I can't tell. Oh, Robert, hello. You're welcome.
Hi, Rosemarie. Thank you so much. This was just amazing.
Well, thank you for being here.
We're sitting outside on Robert's screen porch, as you can tell. We're all outside and we're listening to the sounds of the birds and the chickens and watching the butterflies. And wow, that experience was just so rich. I barely have words for it, but definitely what a difference. So much more space, to that stepwise process just took me through such an incredible way of opening space without me even really knowing what was happening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was beautiful.
Oh, so welcome. So welcome. Good to see you. Anyone else? Lori, I see Lori. Sorry, you're so teeny tiny. Okay, now you're better.
I'm a little bit reticent to say anything since I've had more practice with this, but yeah, really, actually, I've never done that particular exercise, but it's really remarkable because right when we started, I felt an immediate sense of sadness without him ever saying it even, he said it after it. But, and then, and starting at the place of sadness was just weighty and unpleasant, it was just dragging my body down. And then with each step, the sadness, sadness was there, but there was a big separation as awareness emerged itself. The sadness goes into, it's there, and it's even, it's fine to be there. So it's not this overwhelming bodily thing that I normally feel with some emotions, particularly sadness. So yeah, I'm really impressed with the way he does that.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks. Yeah,
Offering it.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate you offering it.
Oh, sure. The step for me, mine was fear, being afraid, and the step for me that opened it was fear is welcome, because that's the beginning for me of opening the door, which opens space, and like Jessica said, and then it's an emotion is not other. Awareness and emotion are one. That's a whole other dimension of integration, and it loses its condensed power because it's dissolved into awake awareness. So I think that's, for me, that's really helpful too. So thank you. Thanks, Lori. Anyone else in the Zendo before I go to Genevieve? Okay. So Genevieve, come forward. Hello. Oh no, now you're muted again.
Again, there I am. Hi. My iPad doesn't allow me to see you unless I
Do the swiping thing? No?
yeah, I have to swipe and hold and then it goes back and then anyway, sorry. I want to see you. First of all, you're doing such a lovely job and your presence is so wonderful. So this is a joy and I'm just really glad to see you occupying this space, living into this space. You're really good at it. And I had a really interesting experience. I own this Audible book and I haven't, I have all this guilt about not doing Zen reading, but I had a really interesting experience. Mine was anger, and which is great because we're doing a precepts on anger today. But so initially, when I was experiencing the emotion, I was doing this dance that was like partly I was had really bended knees and was really like crouching. And partly like I had like a face like one of those Japanese masks that's all white with like a really angry, eyes and face and everything. And I was sticking out my tongue. It was kind of like a Kali dance, the goddess of destruction, when she sticks her tongue all the way out. But then there was the sound I was making sounded like snakes. Like it was really wild.
Scary.
Yes. And then the next thing that happened, the shift that happened was, I don't remember what he said. I don't remember which thing he said made which thing happen. But then I was like, oh, there's the dance. And then there's the dancer. I'm the dancer. That's the dance. So those are two different things. And then all of a sudden I zoomed way out and I was like, oh, there's the dancer and there's the dance and the dancer, but now I'm someone watching the dance. And that was really helpful to me as like a metaphor. I don't have to be the dance and I don't even have to be the dancer. But I can be all of those things at once. But the important part is to zoom out and understand that there's a dance and a dancer and an observer. And I'm assuming that when he says that awareness and emotion are one, this is a leap, I don't know if I'm right, that he's trying to train the neurons in our brain to invoke the observer when we have an emotion, but not really saying that they're the same thing. Because for me, it's important that they're not. I mean, that
they're not the same, but they're one. How about that? They're not the same. They're not the same, but by welcoming it, by acknowledging, as you said, and you can't really acknowledge when you are it.
That's right.
You can't. So, and he did mention the observer, and that's absolutely, it's like the unblending with IFS, right?
Yes.
Right. And so then we form a relationship with it, which we can't do when we are it.
Yes.
So from here, we can form that relationship, which is loving.
That's really well said.
Because when we're angry, we're suffering. And that's what we don't realize. And sometimes for me, these difficult emotions, I'm always worried about, well, it's not a good thing because it's bad for the other person that I'm angry at. Well, it's also bad for me, but I don't, not helpful, I mean, but that's the part that I don't, that's new for me. That Zen is really teaching me when we say that we're suffering because of greed, our ancient karma. I'm never thinking about it's it's hurting me probably even more than it would hurt even the people that I feel it about. So
yeah,
thank you.
I agree with you that the welcoming is a really pivotal, moment, because I feel so much shame about anger and about expressing anger and about getting angry and about, being calm. And so this was really cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeanette. Elizabeth.
Hi.
Hello.
So for me, what I really enjoyed about what you're offering is that it's deceptively simple, and for me, it was doable, and it didn't feel like homework. Like oftentimes I feel like Zen practices homework, and I feel a bit guilty about, I don't know, reading more, practicing more, or, the more. So it was really helpful for me that he was kind of saying, just in this moment, you can have this awareness and then move on, and then what I do want to say is that my reaction was the emotion that I picked when he had us acknowledge it towards the end. I noticed I became very tenderhearted and a little teary, because it sort of kind of sliced through everything and it just hit the heart, and it felt lovely and tender, and what else was I want to comment on? And it really helped me to realize with this one emotion how often I feel like I approach the world with armor, right? Before I leave the house, I put on this big, kind of knight's armor, and then I head on out, but it sort of kind of dispersed that. And I realized, wow, I do that a lot, So anyways, thank you. Thank you for this. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And the first thing that you mentioned was getting it, I think, sort of getting into the heart space. It's so, for me, it's been so helpful to allow, as category says, to let the frontal lobes rest. Bring it down, and we get a better sense of like where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here, I think, because we're so protective of what can happen if we're here more.
Yeah, truly.
So this is thank you for bringing that part up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Darcy.
Rosemarie, I want to thank you so much for stepping up and sharing this. It was a really, it's a profound experience. And yeah, I can hardly put words to what I experienced today. A lot of what Elizabeth said, I'm resonating with, and what everyone is sharing. And I guess I want to echo also the simplicity, because it's like this. I have a yoga teacher, she does yin yoga, and she says, don't let the simplicity of the practice belie its profundity. And that's how I feel about this. From the time, Lori first shared it and then working with it, it feels to me like some of the complex practices have, like the Anapanasati Sutta. That was for me, it was a pretty profound experience as I first started to use it. And I found it feels like this is coming together with that, just like it comes together with IFS,
Mm-hmm.
And like, for those of you, well, whether you're familiar or not with that, Anapanasati, there's a lot of steps. And I remember as time went by wanting to kind of get that back, but I couldn't remember all the steps, And what I've fallen into is, because the basic root of it is, I know I breathe in, I know I breathe out. And if I can just, go with that, and then incorporate, actually, I was doing that with there's another glimpse practice where you're counting. And anyway, I don't know how to express how much I appreciate this.
Oh.
You don't have to know anything, which I don't, and I can never explain a thing. But it is so profound, and I guess I wanted to share with people who thought it seemed complicated that it's really, really not. It is so simple, and thank you for reminding me. I have the book. I haven't been looking at it lately, but I want to get the audio because that allows you to just experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
This was great, Rosemarie.
Thank you so much. And that lovely thing that your yoga teacher said, thank you for offering that. That's a beautiful way to look at simplicity, which is also what Flint is always guiding us towards. How simple are we willing to make it? And I think this method
Yes.
really fits with that. So thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for coming forward.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? Be there in the sendo or otherwise. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and being open. Oh, we have two participants. Well, let me take this hand off of Darcy and Joel. Come forward.
I also want to say thank you so much. I have not worked with this, the shifting style in quite a while. I actually started with a different Loch Kelly book about opening to freedom, and that there's less of the shifting in the heart space for me in that exercise. So I really am grateful for that emphasis within what you were sharing today. I also have the audiobook and I have not been listening to it, so I'm gonna do that. But to the thing that you pointed out in the end of what Loch Kelly said too, that the awareness and the emotion, whatever the emotion, they're not two. They are not separate. They are not the same thing, but in fact they are not separate. That's so powerful, and I thank you for highlighting that. That means a lot to me in my practice too. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. And the other thing that I love when he was saying that is that emotion is not other.
Emotion is not other.
Because in our society, that isn't the case. You know, we don't want to know, particularly about difficult emotions. We don't want to know about them. We don't have time for them.
Right.
You know, so that was, and of course, we're all subject to growing up in this environment. So we, you know, to some extent or other, we still have that other idea about emotion. So I particularly appreciate him using that word as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Joel.